Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's show. I am so excited to be here. I have with me tonight Mr. Al Sadler. He is the pastor of New Beginnings Church here in Rockdale County. And if you are ready, sir, I am going to pull you on. Let's give me 1 second here. Let's go back and I'll bring him back on when he's ready. Give me 1 second. We are back, and I'm here with Mr. Reverend Al Sadler. Let me bring him on in. Hey, sir, how are you doing today? Can you hear me? Let's see if we can. I cannot hear you, sir. Hey. Let's see. Give me 1 second. All right, I cannot hear you. If you can try to turn your microphone on so we can hear you. I can't hear you. Hmm. All right, try it again. Hmm. Still can't hear you. Let's see. Let's see. Can you hear me? Audio.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Audio.
Yeah, mine is working so far.
All right. There we go. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
All right.
Okay.
There we go. I can hear you now.
All
Can
right.
you hear me?
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
There. Good evening. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Just trying to keep warm and stay out of this snow.
Yes, sir, because it's pretty bad out there. I just
Yes,
seen
sir.
some stuff from
it's
Conyers Police Department. They got some roads closed down.
pretty
So
bad out there. I just seen some stuff from Conyers Police Department. They got some roads closed down. So.
Okay.
all right, so let's talk a little bit about yourself, how you got here to Rockdale County, and
All right.
you're
So let's talk a
growing
little bit
up
about
here
yourself,
in
how you
Rockdale.
got here to Rockdale County, and you're growing up here in Rockdale. And
Okay. That's good enough. What do you want to know?
So growing up here, how was it
So growing
like
up here,
for the black families here in
how was it
Conyers
like
and Rockdale?
for the
Was it
black
good to
families
you?
here in Conyers and Rockdale? Was it good to you?
Well, it kind of depends, CJ, on probably who you ask, and as to what it was like. Let me just kind of begin by saying, well, I was born in Grady Hospital, and I grew up here in Conyers. But I think one of the things that was somewhat of an advantage for me was the fact that my grandfather owned a shoe shop in Old Town Conyers, and that was
Okay.
behind where the old Rockdale Citizen office was. And so I was exposed to the movers and shakers in Rockdale County. So that might have given me a little bit of a difference as far as the community is concerned.
Mm.
Now, when it comes to the school and everything, that might have been a little bit differently. But one of the things that I was thinking about earlier today is that I probably didn't know how much of a difference high school was until I went off to college and found out that we were, behind in many cases
Mhm.
and disadvantaged in some cases because I didn't realize that while I was going out. I just thought everybody else was going through the same thing.
Gotcha. And you did mention
Gotcha.
that you went
And
to JP
you
Carr,
did
is that
mention
right?
that you
So
went to JP
uh,
Carr. Is that right?
is
So
that one of the schools attended? And what's
uh,
some of your
that one of your schools
most
attended. What's
memorable
some of your
experience you had
most memorable experience you
as education here in Rockdale?
as education here in Rockdale?
Okay, well, initially when I started school in September, or I think it was August 31st, uh,
Hmm.
1956. And the reason why I kind of
Oh
remember
well.
that date is because school at that
Oh wow.
time always started the Friday before Labor Day, not
Okay.
as early as it does now.
Okay.
And when I first started to school, it was called Bryant Street School.
Mm.
And my second year in school, we had a brand new building, probably built about the same time the old Pine Street School was built.
Mm-hmm.
And we went in that building in my second year. So probably the school year 58, 59, the name was changed from Bryant Street School to J.P. Carr. Now, at that time, the black students went to one school for all 12 grades.
Mm.
First through the 12th grade, we all went to the same school. So, and then one of the things I like to emphasize is the fact that one of the buildings that I was in had steam heat and it never worked. So this time
Mm.
here, like we're experiencing today, we would not have had heat in the rooms. So we would have to
Mm.
either go to the gym or go to the library in the newer building to keep warm in the cafeteria.
Mm. Oh wow, that's very interesting.
Oh
Uh,
wow,
so
that's
is
very
there
interesting.
any other
So is there
like
any other
moments that you remember
moments
growing
that
up
you
in
remember
Conyers
growing up
as
in
going to school, like
Conyers
that you
as going
remember
to
that
school, like that you remember that
uh, some interesting things that
some
happened? I can say.
interesting things that happened? I can say.
Well, I think one of the interesting was probably around 1962, J.P. Carr got a band. At the time, prior to that,
Mm.
J.P. Carr only had a basketball team, girls and boys, no football team, and a chorus.
Uh,
But
mm.
around 1962, he had a band, and that was kind of an exciting time to have the band. I know that my parents and many of the grown-ups at that time were very, very happy with the fact that we got a band. Like I said, we never had a football team, so I
Mm-hmm.
think that was probably one of my most memorable things that happened during that era and everything.
Gotcha. That is interesting.
Gotcha.
And so
That is
you was telling
interesting.
me a
And
little bit about
so you
yourself
was
that
telling
you're
me a little bit about yourself
president
that
of
you're
the Citizens Progressive
president
Club
of
of Rockdale.
Citizens
Could
Progressive
you
Club.
tell me a little bit about that
Rockdale.
for those
Could
that
you
don't know about that club
tell me a
here in
little bit about
Rockdale?
that for those that don't know about that club here in Rockville?
Okay, the Citizens Progressive Club was organized organized in 1956 by a group of black World War II veterans. And the purpose of that organization at that time in 1956 was to provide money for playground equipment for black children, assist the black community with rent and utilities, and be somewhat of a liaison between the black community and the white community. One of the most famous things that the Citizens Progressive Club has been known for is it was heavily involved in the integration of the Rockdale County Public Schools in 1965-66 school system. They played another major part in naming of the Heritage High School gym after the late Curtis Bell, who was the basketball coach at J.P. Clark when I was going, and then also naming of the Rockdale County high school gym after Coach Cleveland Stroud. So those have been some of the things that we have been involved with over the years.
That's very interesting. I didn't know.
That's very interesting. I didn't know.
I know both of those stadiums there. That one's the Rockdale's named for Cleveland Stroud. And that's very interesting how that got there. And you are also a pastor, so I would like to know a little bit more about how you got started being a pastor and what made you want to do that.
Well, I initially started pastoring in November of 1984 at a church in Scottsdale, Georgia, called New Travelers Rest Baptist Church. Oh, yeah. And the reason why I was there was a split in the church. And New Birth, that most people know about, came out of this church, and because they split, they needed a pastor. So I got called there as pastor, and that's where I began, pastoring in Scottsdale, Georgia, and then eventually I came to Conyers, and then pastored 2 churches in Conyers, and then decided in 2006 to start Church of New Beginnings, and that's where I've been for the last 18, almost 19 years now.
Oh, nice. You was talking about Travelers Rest. Is that the also the same church as it is now, the Travelers Rest Missionary Baptist Church? I think it's in Decatur. Isn't that the same one? Or
no, it's a different one. This one is in Scottsdale, Georgia.
Gotcha. Because I just know the name, and I didn't know if they was related or not.
No, it's a different church.
Gotcha. So, anything you would like to tell us about being on the Board of Rockdale Elections Board?
Well, the Board of Elections it has been kind of rewarding organization, and one of the things I like to say is that the staff at the Board of Elections are awesome people, and they've done very well to make all these elections go very, very, very smoothly. I often challenge them to say, keep us off the 6 o'clock news, and that's what they have done. So I really appreciate Cynthia Willingham and her staff over there, and also the other board members, Karen James and Dr. Amber Green. So we have worked very well together, and I can't remember exactly how long I've been on the board. I've been appointed to the board a few times by Judge. I think Judge Irvin was the first one, and the last person to judge the appointment was Judge Munford, and so my term is up in June of this year, and if the other representatives, Mrs. Karen James and Dr. Amber Green, if they decide to bring me back, I will come back and serve another 2 years.
I'm sure they will if they can't find anyone to replace them. Because that can be a lengthy process in itself. Because I do remember at one point they had an issue with the board of elections, so that took some time to fight through. I remember.
Say that again now.
The Board of Elections at one
The
point had
Board of Elections at one
issues with
point
the
had
Board of Elections
issues with the
chairman,
Board of
and
Elections chairman, and
it took some
that
time to
it
fight
was
through. I remember.
time to fight through. I remember.
Yeah, some years ago, before I became a member, I think that's one of the reasons why I got selected to serve, because there were some disputes between the Democratic representative and the Republican representative, and so I think both of them got eliminated, and they brought in basically a new board. So I've had a few new members to serve with me on board, but right now I just think that we are working very well to ensure that all, I would say, legitimate and legal voters are able to vote, and try to make it as simple and easy as possible.
Right.
One of the things I think is somewhat of an issue that we often have. We have early voting, and people vote over on West Avenue, and then the day of the election, many think that they can still come there and vote, and so no matter how much we try to educate the public, that they on the election day they have to vote at their own precincts and stuff. But some people will just argue with you. I voted here last time, and maybe you did, but that happened to be an early voting
Yes.
time.
And that's what I try to do here on this show as well. And since a lot of people do know
And
me,
that's what
I
I try
try
to
to
do here on this
educate
show as
them
well. And
like,
since a
especially
lot of people
close
do
to
know me, I
election
try
time.
to
Yes,
educate them
go vote
like,
there during
especially
early
close to
voting,
election
but
time. Yes,
also
go vote
remember
there
on
during early
voting day you
voting,
got
but
to vote
also
in your precinct, whatever that may
remember on
be.
voting day you got to vote in your precinct, whatever that may be.
Right. But most of the people right now in Rockdale seem to be voting early. Most people seem to have, caught on to early voting. I know that there are some people who feel that it's more patriotic to vote on election day, but I think the majority of the people in Rockdale vote early, and so that eliminates having to, try to get to the polls on election day.
Yes, sir. And I do want to go back a little bit
And
and
I
talk
think
about
also
it.
that
Was there
Yes,
many
sir.
any
many
And
during
I
the
do
civil
want to go
rights
back a little bit and talk about it.
was
Was
there
there
any
during
big
the
thing
civil
that
rights
happened here in
movement,
Rockdale with the civil
was
rights
any
movement here in
big
Rockdale County?
thing that happened here in Rockdale with the civil rights movement here in Rockdale County?
uh well, let me go back and talk a little bit more about the integration of the school system in 1965-66 school year. I have a first cousin that is, we grew up like brothers, and he was the first black male to graduate from Rockdale County High School. His name is Dr. Aubrey Webb Sr. And I was in the 10th grade when this happened, and I remember going to my first basketball game at Rockdale High School. The gym was up there where the Board of Education used to be. And I remember at 15 years old, when they opened those big brown doors, and all I saw in there were white people. I didn't see any black people in there. And I remember asking my cousin Aubrey, "Are you sure that we can go in here?" And he assured me that we could. And nothing happened. I don't even remember who the Rockdale High School was playing. I don't remember nothing about the score. The only thing I just remember is the fact that going in that first experience, I don't think I went to another game until probably the 1980s at Rockdale High School. So,
Oh wow!
but I was
And
treated very well. There was no
And
problems and anything.
I got you. That's good to hear.
I got
And
you.
I was
That's
just
good to hear.
wondering,
And
were you
I
ever
was
a
just
teacher
wondering,
in
were you ever
Rockdale
a
or no?
teacher in Rockdale or no?
No, I've never. When I left high school, I went to college, and I dropped out of college and started a family. And I went to, well, after I dropped out of college, I went to a computer school, and I learned how to operate a computer. And once I finished, everybody was telling me that they wanted somebody who had experience. But there was a guy at Georgia Tech by the name of Charlie Reed that hired me as a computer operator. So my first job in information technology was at the Tech. So that's what I spent 35 years in information technology. And matter of
Wow.
fact, as we we have just celebrate homegoing President Jimmy Carter. I
Mm-hmm.
was working there when Tech gave him an honorary doctor's degree. I was at the
Oh wow.
ceremony that day when that happened. So,
Oh wow.
mhm.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Uh, so is there any
So is
what
there
do you consider
any
to be the most pressing issue
what do
facing
you
the black
consider to
community
be
in
the most
Rockdale
pressing
today?
issue facing the
If
black
there is
community in
one.
Rockville today? If there's one.
Well, here again, I would I would like to say that it kind of depends on who you're talking to. So that question is kind of a broad question, and it just kind of depends on who I'm talking to. Some people will talk about education would be
Mm-hmm.
a big issue. Another would be security. And then some people are just concerned about all the development, all the growth here
Yeah.
in Rockdale. So I think those are kind of the categories that I would put things in with people that I've had conversations with. I'm sure there are
Right.
probably other things.
Right. And I think those last two, the
Right.
education and the
Right.
upgrowing,
And
is
I think
both
those last two, the
a white and black issue right now.
education,
Because
the upgrowing is
I
both
I
a
just know
white
that
and black
when
issue right now
people
because
moved here back in the day,
I
the
just know
school
that
systems
when
were
people moved here
A1,
back in the
and
day,
that's
the
what
school
mostly the
systems were
people came
A1,
for
and that's
Rockdale
what
for.
mostly the people came for Rockdale
Do you
for.
have anything to
Uh,
say about what the education
anything to
was
say
like and what
about
it is
what the
now
education was like and what
in
it is
Rockdale?
now in Rockdale?
Well, I know people have different opinions about the school system here. Some say that it's doing very well, and some says it's not. And so maybe we're somewhere in between. I think I have a pretty good relationship with the board members, and I think they're doing the best they can to improve the school system. But I think it's a challenge. My wife, my daughter, and my son have all worked in school systems, and there are challenges in schools. Now with some of the discipline that needs to happen in schools, it's
Yeah.
difficult for teachers to teach, and therefore, I think it makes it a little bit more difficult for children, to learn and to pass these standardized tests and what have you. But my hat goes off to them. I just personally believe that I could not be a school teacher. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter often tells me, said, "Dad, you couldn't even make it to the first break." And if you were teaching school, so, and
Yeah.
I'm probably, she's probably right about that.
There was one
There was
video I
one
seen. I
video I
think
seen. I think
either you and your grandson was
the
doing, and it was
you
talking about the
and
movie
your
theater
grandson
there
was
in
doing, and
Old
it was
Town
talking about
Conyers.
the movie theater
Could
there in
you
Old Town
tell us
Conyers.
a little bit
Could you
about that? And
tell
like
us
you was
a little
telling
bit
about
about that and what you was
they
telling
had a
about
separate
they
restroom
had a
for, I
separate
believe, the
restroom
white
for,
and the
I
black.
believe, the
Can you tell
white
us a little bit
and the
about that
black?
if you
Can you
remember?
tell us a little bit about that if you remember?
Yeah, my grandson Dalen was the videographer for that particular segment,
Mm-hmm.
and another man by the name of Mr. Jerome Levitt, who happens to be the sheriff's dad. He and I did that video, and the purpose of that was doing Black History, and I was
Mm-hmm.
talking about growing up while black in the 1950s and 60s, and so that was just one piece of it that we went in Old Town Conyers and started talking about some of the things that was happening in Old Town Conyers when we were growing up. Yeah, there was a separate bathroom, and also the building where the magistrate court is and probate court is. That was the old theater, and
Mm-hmm.
black people had to go upstairs in the balcony to watch the movies. And let me just kind of throw something in with this.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, there was a show that came on in the afternoons after we got out of school on Channel 2, WSB, and it was called Officer Dunn. And I think he would show like Popeye cartoons and that kind of thing. Well, anyway, one day, one Saturday, Officer Dunn came to Rockdale County, and he came to that old Martin Theater, that old ROCKDALE and everything. And as a
Mm-hmm.
child, I thought that I was going to get a chance to go up on the stage and play musical chairs and all of that. But we, as black children, could not participate. All we could do is just watch from the balcony as the white kids were able to participate in that particular episode and what have you. And I do have some videos out there on YouTube, on my YouTube page that has that particular video you're talking about that's on there.
Right. Yeah, I have to go back there and look at that because I love looking at history.
That was a segregation, and
Yeah, I have to go back there and look at that because I love looking at history.
right.
Yeah.
And there's also another video in that same group of videos where I interviewed 3 of the students that integrated the Rockdale County school system. So if you get a chance, check that out too.
Yes, sir. I will certainly will. And I did want to ask you a personal question. How did that, as a child, make you feel knowing that the white kids could go up there, but you as a black kid not go up there and do the same things? How did that make you feel? If I can ask you that.
How did it make me feel the be discriminated against or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well,
Yes, sir.
I don't know, that's maybe not a difficult question to answer, but at the time, CJ, most of us really didn't realize, we were being discriminated against. We realized that, we were going through something different. We knew it was different, and maybe not as much as different as, I can look back and see it now.
Right.
At the time, I remember getting textbooks, and they would have other people's names in them, in classes before me, and I would look at the names and say, I don't know anybody in the school that's got that name, and because we pretty much knew everybody. So I guess I didn't really think about it too much until you were kind of faced with it, in terms like going to the movie and having to sit upstairs in the balcony. But I guess to some degree, you just kind of accepted the fact that that's the way life was at that time.
All right.
And, I was taught, to stay away from places where there was a rebel flag. You avoided those places. And I, my children, talk about now, they wouldn't have tolerated that. But my parents wanted me to come home safe at night. So what they did was told me things to do to try to, keep me from getting in trouble or getting hurt. And so that's kind of what I went through. And, but I guess some of the things that I think there's an advantage of going to a segregated school, our teachers, I believe, was kind of an extension of our parents. I believe they loved us. I believe they cared for us, and they tried to do everything they could to teach us, protect us from, getting hurt, and prepare us for life. I mean, because there were sometimes that the classes would kind of get out of control, and then the teacher would just spend that hour just lecturing about behavior and that kind of thing. And so I think that was different. And I think another thing that was kind of good in a part of the segregation aspect was the discipline we had. I had a shop teacher that would just, you got out of line, he would grab a piece of wood off the pile in the shop, and we got to whoop him.
Wow.
And I've told this story plenty of times, that my 6th grade teacher used to whoop me for spelling. And if I failed a spelling test every week or whenever he gave it, I think he gave it every week. And if I failed it, I got a whooping. I had to hold my hand out like that. And he had a belt that he would hit me in my hand. And my children and grandchildren just think that's ridiculous. But that's what happened. And then there was a lady who also taught 6th grade, and she would whoop children for being late coming to school. Now, here's a sticker. CJ, there was one bus driver by the name of Mr. Roosevelt Wright, and the children
Okay.
that he picked up out near the horse park. So it was a lot, back then it was a lot of dirt roads and they were muddy. And when they got to her class, they couldn't just come in because he would be late. And when she opened the door and as they came in, they would get a lick for being late. And they had no control over being late, but they got a whooping.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the
Wow.
kind of discipline I grew up under. So to me, I think it helped me in the long run.
All right.
So, most of the time I'm not late for anything. I'm going to get there
Right.
early, even though I was never in her class. But that's just,
Mhm.
part of my growing up.
I got one more question.
I know you're getting a kick out of laughing about that, but that was the way life was,
Yeah.
and everything.
Yes, sir. I got one more question, if you don't mind answering. I know here in Rockdale we had a lot of changes. So what are
I got
some
one
of the
question, if you don't
changes
mind.
you
I know
in
here in
terms
Rockdale
of
we had a lot of
racial
changes. So what
equality
are
and
some of
civil
the
rights in Rockdale? Because I
in
know
terms
we
of
just elected
racial
our
equality
first
and
woman
civil
here
rights
in Rockdale County to be our chairman,
in
and then
Rockdale?
in
Because I know
2008 we
we just
elected
elected
our
our
first
first
black
woman
chairman.
here in Rockdale
So
County to be our chairman.
there's
And
been
in
a lot of
2008
changes, and I like to get your
we
thoughts
elected
on
our
that.
chairman. So a lot of changes, and I'd like to get your thoughts.
Well, sometimes I think change is good, and sometimes I think change may not be good. But what I would like to see, with the community, is the community get behind our elected officials and him, because if they do a good job, all of us benefit from the job they does. So I'm looking forward to work with all three of the commissioners, all three of the women, and offering help to do whatever I can do to help them, to
Right.
be successful in Rockdale County. Because if they fail, we fail. So
Exactly.
that's the way I look at it. So
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Is there any last words you'd like to give to the community tonight before we close out?
Yes, sir. Is there any last words you'd like to give to the community tonight before we close out?
okay, well, I would just like to say to those that are listening to us, I love this place. I love Rockdale County. I grew up here. I raised my children here. So this place means a lot to me. And I just want all of us to be able to get along with each other, regardless of what our race is, regardless of where we came from, and what our backgrounds are. I would love for all of us to be able to get along and work together. Are we going to agree on everything? No. Sometimes the disagreements are good, where that people can bring up some ideas that maybe you have not thought about. But one of the things I like to say, I would just love for us to be able to work together as a community and make this place a great place to live.
Yes.
And like I said, I've seen a lot of changes here, and I just remember as about 10 years old watching them build I-20 through Conyers, and that made some major changes. It started bringing people in, from all over, because there are, friends that I have that are from different places around the country and everything, and I know that everybody got some different ideas of how things should be, but let's try to work together and make this a better place to live. Let's make it a safer place. Let's make it a place where our children can turn out to be very educated and maybe just not keep growing so much and everything. So hopefully we can do some of that. I mean, I realize there are some things that we cannot control, and change is one of the things you probably can't. The only thing constant is change, and things are going to continue to change. But I want to take this opportunity, CJ, to thank you for allowing me to come on and spend this time with you, and I hope that what I have been able to offer will benefit some people. And I want to extend an invitation to you and anybody else that's watching to come visit us at Church of New Beginnings, and we're located at 3150 Highway 20 South. We meet at 9 o'clock on Sunday mornings, and we strive to have a 75-minute service. And our theme for 2025 is strive rather, in 2025. But thank you, my brother, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, and I do, and I will make it an opportunity to go out there and visit you when I can, because I am busy at my church as well. I just got elected to the Conyers Methodist Church board there, so I'm busy there. But when I find time, I will most definitely come by and visit you, and I will look forward to working with you in the future, and maybe doing some community building exercises with the community, bringing the black and white community together.
Exercises with the community, bringing the black and white community together.
Okay, well, one of the things that you mentioned, the Methodist Church, one of the things that I got involved in about 3 years ago, I meet with a group of pastors Tuesday, and Pastor Chris that used to go to United Methodist Church. He's now in Covington, but he's still online with us. Several other pastors, Pastor Kevin Hicks, who is next door at the Presbyterian Church, hosts our Zoom every Tuesday.
Okay.
And so it's been very enlightening to me, and I think we have been able to bridge some gaps between our different denominations and even with our different races and so forth and everything. So I've learned a lot from them, and I know they've learned a lot, Pastor Lee and I.
That's good to hear, because I would like to do a program if you can help me with that too, and I would like to bring the pastors together for the program and kind of bridge the gap of maybe even racism and churches together here in Rockdale County.
Racism and churches together here in Rockdale County.
All right.
All right. I appreciate you, sir. I hope you stay warm here in Rockdale County. It's very cold up there tonight. It's 30 degrees and getting colder, and so stay safe and stay warm, and everybody else here in Rockdale as well.
It's getting colder, and so stay safe and stay warm, and everybody else here in Rockdale as well.
All right. Good night, and thank you again.